yesterday we talked about the somebody wanted but so then method. So let's review that really quickly. So this is just 5 words that represent different pieces of a summary. So when we're writing a summary, what we're trying to do, and I think I'm going to go back. So when we're writing a summary, we're taking a story, we're taking a text, we're taking a passage, and we're trying to condense it or make it smaller. Just hit the biggest points. So that way you could give somebody, it would pretend like you would be telling somebody what a book is about or what a passage is about. You don't want to tell them every single detail, because at that point, then they should have just read the book or the passage, right? So you're just giving them the big points. So we talked about the somebody wanted but so then method. And each of those 5 words, like we said, represent a piece of the story, an important thing that we need to make sure that we add to our summary. So I'm going to go back here so we can look at each piece. Now this one, yesterday we talked about the billy goat's gruff. So that's what this summary is going to be about, but we're just going to review again what these pieces are before we do a new story today where we're going to write our own summary. So somebody just means who is the main character, the somebody that's in the story. Now this doesn't have to be every single character. We're looking just for the main character, the antagonist in the story. And in our story yesterday, it would have been the 3 billy goats gruff. Wanted just means what did the character want? What were they hoping would happen? What were they wanting to do? And again, in this case, it was they wanted to cross the bridge, they wanted to get to the green grass, they wanted to eat, right? Now, the but section is all about the problem. There's a conflict that arises in the story, something that makes what the character wants, what the main character wants, difficult. And in our story yesterday, it was that darn old troll that lived under the bridge and was trying to eat the goats as they passed. So the but is the conflict, when the character and the conflict meet. So is, how does the character deal with this conflict? What does the character do to resolve the conflict? And in this case, they outsmarted the troll. The first 2 goats did, right? They said there's a bigger billy goat coming behind me, and then the troll was greedy enough to say, okay, I'll wait on the bigger billy goat. And that's how the first 2 characters did. Then is just the resolution. How did the story end? How did the story resolve? And in this case, the story resolved by the biggest billy goat pushing the troll off into the river, and then they never saw the troll again. The troll wasn't an issue, and the goats got to go eat what they wanted to eat. So we take all of these parts from the story. So the biggest parts of the story, again, we're leaving out some details from the story, but that's okay. In a summary, we don't have to have every single detail. And then we turned it into our own summary. So let's go to our summary that we ended up having at the end. So we had our somebody, the billy goats. We told what we wanted. Instead of using the word but to start a sentence, we did change that to however. So this is still the but section. However, a troll living under the bridge threatened to eat them. And then it tells us, here's the so, what the billy goats decided to do. So they outsmarted. And then finally, the resolution is the 3rd billy goats push the troll into the river. You'll also notice that we don't actually have every single somebody wanted but so then word in the summary. For example, we're here at the so part, and you don't see the word so here. It just goes into what happens during the so part. And that's okay. You don't have to have every single one of those words in your summary, as long as you have that section in the summary. So this is where we're going to practice with a new story. You have this story on your handout that's a Notability. So if you need to split screen this video and the story, I think that would probably be a good idea. Or you could really just have this video playing in the background as you work on your handout. And this is a story about Ellie and Addie. So what we're going to do first is I'm just going to read through the story with you. And then if you want to take your highlighter tool and highlight the different parts in different colors of the somebody wanted but so then, that's okay. If you want to wait until the end, we're going to do that part together. So it's completely up to you if you want to do it as we go, or if you want to wait and do it at the end. You can also always pause this video. So say you find out who the somebody is in the story. If you want to pause the video then, so that way you can get into your handout page and you can highlight what you need to highlight, that's fine. And then you can continue playing the video. Whatever makes your heart happy, whatever makes the most sense to you. But right now, I'm just going to read through the story and then I'll worry about the bottom section of the handout. So you can follow along here or you can follow along on your handout for the story. Ellie opened the closet door and tugged on the arm of her sweatshirt until it fell off the hanger. It was her favorite sweatshirt because it was so comfortable. She and her twin sister Addie each had one because their grandmother still insisted on giving them matching clothes. She and Addie didn't like wearing them on the same day. In fact, they never wore them at the same time unless their grandma was around. She pulled it over her head and gazed into the mirror. "What is this?" she cried, rubbing at a dark mark on the front of the sweatshirt. It didn't take her long to realize it was chocolate. Remembering the chocolate fudge sundae she ate the last time she wore it, she scrubbed at the mark with her fingernail. However, she knew from experience that chocolate would leave a permanent stain. Immediately, Ellie went to the closet and found Addie's identical sweatshirt. "Addie won't mind if I borrow hers," she thought to herself. Suddenly, a darker thought crossed her mind. "I can say this one is my sweatshirt. I'll write my initials on the tag of this clean one so Addie can't claim that it's hers." Ellie felt bad as she wrote ES on the tag, but then she reasoned with herself. Addie doesn't love this sweatshirt as much as I do. A few days later, Addie and Ellie were getting ready for school in the room that they shared. As Addie put on the sweatshirt, Ellie bit her lip. Within a minute, Addie was staring down at the chocolate stain on her sweatshirt. "This one must not be mine. I know I haven't ever gotten a stain on it. Ellie, have you seen my sweatshirt that looks like this?" Ellie shook her head. "I'm pretty sure that's yours." "No, it can't be," Addie argued. Ellie raised her voice. "Are you saying that I'm lying?" "Are you lying?" Addie demanded. Ellie stomped to the laundry room and snatched the other sweatshirt out of the dirty clothes pile. "Look," she said, "I even have my initials written on this one." Addie put her hands on her hips. "Why did you write your initials on the tag?" "I left it in the locker room during PE and I didn't want anyone to take it," Ellie lied. Addie lowered her voice. "Oh. I'm sorry that I accused you of lying about it. I just don't remember ever getting chocolate on this, but I must have." Addie left the room. Ellie thought she'd feel a sense of satisfaction, but she didn't. She only felt shame. In fact, she eventually stopped donning the sweatshirt because wearing it only made her feel guilty. So, I want to take a minute. I really would love for you to pause this video here, and I want you to see if you can find all 5 sections that we would need for our story. Let's see if you can find the somebody. Let's see if you can find wanted, but, so, and then. Let's review what each of these means. So the somebody is just the main character, the somebody that's in the story, who the story is mostly about. Wanted is what did the character want? But is the conflict that made this difficult, so the problem that arises. How the character deals with this conflict, and then how the story ends. So again, you don't have to highlight everything. I know in the examples when we saw the summaries, we were highlighting every word, but this is the actual text, the actual story, so we're not going to need to highlight the entire text. We're just looking for these bits and pieces. So I want you to take just a minute. I want you to pause this video. I want you to go into your story, and I want you to see if you can find these sections. If you can't find all of them or you're not sure, it's okay. This is just practice today. So I think that you could probably find the somebody. I would imagine you could probably find what the character wanted, maybe even the conflict. The so and the then can kind of be the issues at times because we're not quite sure always what details we want to include or not. So just try your best, and then once you are done, you can unpause this video and we're going to go back through and find all 5 of these pieces. So pause now and then come back when you're ready to check your answers. Okay, so you should have found all 5 of these sections. Now we're going to go over what each of these sections is. So the first one is the somebody, and I think we could probably guess that one. That one's going to be Ellie, right? Addie is a character, but she's not the main character in this. This story is mostly about Ellie. So that was the somebody. What did Ellie want? She wanted to wear her favorite sweatshirt, right? That was what she wanted. She went into detail about the sweatshirt, but really, when it comes down to it, she just wanted to wear her favorite sweatshirt. What was the conflict that made this difficult? I think we all know probably what this is too. The conflict is she realizes that she's got a stain on her favorite sweatshirt. You could have even maybe said that she had a chocolate stain on her sweatshirt, something that wasn't going to come out. And again, she went into great detail about that, told us about the ice cream sundae. We don't need that for our summary. We just need, here's what happened. She realizes she has a stain on it. So how does she decide to deal with this conflict? What happens? Well, she took her twin sister's identical sweatshirt and said that it was hers. Again, she gives us lots of detail. She talks about how she kind of goes back and forth. Does she want to do this? That she writes her name in the tag. All of those details are great, but not necessary for our summary. Those are things that we're going to cut out. We're just going to stick with the main points. And the big point is that she took her twin sister's sweatshirt and she said that it was hers. So how does the story end? Most of the rest of the story has lots and lots and lots of details. So really we're just, again, looking for the biggest part, the most important information that we would want to include. No one figured out what Ellie did, but it was no longer her favorite sweatshirt because she felt guilty. Most of the time we find the end of the story, if you can believe it, at the end of the story, right? There's definitely some details, but we want the resolution, how the story completely wraps up. So obviously her and her sister kind of go back and forth, but really how it ends is her sister never realizes that she took her sweatshirt, but she feels really guilty about it, so she doesn't wear it as often because she feels bad whenever she wears it. Now, we've found all 5 sections. Now we have to turn all 5 of these sections into one paragraph that's our summary. Again, we don't have to use all of these words when we do the summary, but we want to make sure that we can check off each piece. So say you went and highlighted your somebody in red. If you even want to write your somebody sentence in red in your summary, that's fine. If you don't, you just want to use a regular pen or you just want to type it out and just use black font, that's fine too. But we're going to take all of these pieces and we're going to turn it into a summary. So first off, we start with a somebody. So we know Ellie is our somebody, right? Then what did she want? We can even put that. Ellie wanted to wear her favorite sweatshirt, but she realized that it had a stain on it. So I want to go through this really quickly. In one sentence, we have covered the somebody, the wanted, and the but from the page before this. So you can do this really, really easy. It doesn't have to be pages and pages or sentences and sentences to cover all this. You could have said Ellie wanted to wear her favorite sweatshirt and stopped, and then added the next sentence saying, then she realized that it had a stain on it, or she realized that it had a stain on it. So you could split that up, but we could just include it in one sentence. It makes it super easy, super quick. So we've got Ellie, we've got the somebody, she wanted her favorite sweatshirt, but she realized that it had a stain on it. Now we're leading right into that so section. So, but we're going to kind of change it to therefore. I'm okay if you wanted to use so at the beginning of a sentence, but if you want to change it and get fancy, you could use another word like therefore. Therefore, she took her twin sister's identical sweatshirt and said that it was hers. In the end, you could also put then if you wanted to, or you could say, at the end of the story, the resolution is, however you want to word that. In the end, no one figured out what Ellie did, but it was no longer her favorite sweatshirt because she felt guilty whenever she wore it. Now, this is not the only summary that you could write. Every time you take the information from this page, you can word it 1,000 different ways. There are so many different ways that you could word this. But the main thing is you need to make sure that you have every single piece here. And in the summary that we just wrote together, that has every single piece. We have the somebody. We have the wanted. We have but what the problem was. We have the so here's how she handled it. And we also have the then or in the end, this is what happens. Notice it's just one paragraph. Summaries really don't need to be any more than one paragraph because if we have more than one paragraph, it starts to become less of a summary and more of a retelling of every detail. In a summary, we don't want it to necessarily be a retelling of everything. We just want it to summarize. We want it to get to the main points. So tomorrow we're going to do another one like this, but you guys are going to write your own summary, so it's going to be for a grade. So if you even want to watch this video, that's fine. If you want to keep the page that you did today to help you on the page tomorrow, I think that's a good idea. You can kind of use that as a reference. I'm fine with that. And you can use anything that we used yesterday too. So any of the notes or the handouts that we did yesterday or today, you can completely use tomorrow. But tomorrow we're going to review all this one more time, and then you guys are going to see if you can come up with the summary part. So we'll find the pieces and parts, and then you'll have to write your own summary for that. So you're going to move on. We're going to do the next section of Home of the Brave and another discussion for that. So good luck.